The great silver ship drifted slowly toward the blue planet. From the viewing glass, the alien students pressed their faces, eyes glowing with excitement and fear. Earth looked beautiful from orbit, covered with oceans, green lands, and swirls of white clouds. To them, it looked calm, almost peaceful, but the sensors told a different story. Red lights flashed across the control panel. Numbers jumped wildly, warning of radiation, storms, and dangerous levels of oxygen. The students gasped. "This world should be uninhabitable," whispered one student with pale skin and 4 shining eyes. "How can anything live down there?" Their teacher, a tall elder with gray scales and calm eyes, raised a long hand. "Do not be fooled by beauty. This planet is alive. It is violent. It is not like our worlds. Here, danger waits in every shadow." Another student, younger and bold, leaned forward. "But humans live here, don't they? They walk this world every day." The teacher's voice grew low, almost like a warning. "Yes, and that is the true mystery." The ship descended through thick clouds. Lightning flashed outside, making the glass windows tremble. The students flinched as the storm roared, the sound like a beast's growl. "Is the planet attacking?" "US," a student cried, clinging to the seat. The elder gave a long stare. "No, this is only weather." The ship shook violently as air currents slammed against it. One student screamed, another closed all 4 of his eyes in terror. But the elder remained calm, as if expecting it. Finally, the ship broke through the clouds, and below them stretched a vast green jungle, endless and wild. The pilot landed. On a clear patch of earth, the hatch hissed open. Warm, heavy air rushed inside, filled with strange scents, wet soil, plants, and something alive. The alien students stepped out, their thin legs shaking. The ground felt soft under their feet. First, it seemed safe. The jungle was quiet, almost too quiet. "This does not look dangerous," said one student nervously. "It looks calm." A sharp buzz cut through the air. Small black insects swarmed toward them, biting with needle-sharp mouths. The students screamed. One slapped his neck, and blue blood dripped from the wound. Another collapsed to his knees. As venom raced through his body, "Help him! The poison is spreading fast," cried a student. The elder pressed a device to the fallen student's chest. A light pulsed, slowing the poison. "Stay calm. These are only insects. On this planet, even the smallest life can kill." The students were horrified. "Only insects?" One whispered. "But they are so tiny," the jungle rustled. From the trees, a group of humans appeared. They wore simple clothes and carried tools made of metal and wood. Their faces were calm, even amused, as they swatted the insects away with their hands. One of the humans laughed. "Bad season for bugs." "You'll get used to it." The students stared in disbelief. Get used to it? To them, these insects were death itself. But the humans acted as if it was nothing, just an annoyance. The elder's voice was almost trembling now. "Do you see? To them, survival here is normal. To them, this world is home." Thunder cracked across the sky. Dark clouds gathered once again, and a heavy rain began to fall. Water poured down like a river from the heavens. Lightning split a tree nearby, sending smoke into the air. The students panicked, their hearts racing. "This storm is trying to kill us." One cried, but the humans moved quickly. They built a shelter with wooden beams and thick leaves, their hands working. With speed and strength, fire sparked to life, glowing warmly even under the heavy rain. The alien students huddled together, their bodies trembling. To them, the storm felt like the end of the world. But the humans sat by the fire, smiling, laughing, sharing food as if nothing was wrong. The elder lowered his voice, almost in awe. "On our worlds, a storm like this would drive us underground for weeks. But here, they treat it as common weather." The students exchanged fearful looks. Every moment on Earth seemed more impossible than the last. The insects, the storms, the fire, each was enough to kill. And yet the humans thrived. When the rain stopped, the humans stepped out and stretched as though refreshed. One human turned to the students and said, "Welcome to Earth. The planet tries to break us every day, but we do not break." The words sank deep into the students' minds. They understood now why their teachers called Earth the most dangerous world. And yet, the question grew darker. If this planet was so deadly, then what kind of creature could grow strong enough to master it? The elder finally spoke, his voice steady but heavy with meaning. "Remember this day. You came searching for knowledge. What you will find is not just knowledge of this world. You will find the truth about humans, and it will change you forever." The jungle roared again as night fell, full of strange cries and movements in the dark. The alien students huddled close, fear clawing at their minds. Above them, the stars shone cold and distant. But Earth was not distant, it was alive, fierce. And watching them, and somewhere deep in the forest, something moved. The students froze. The sound was not thunder, not insects, not the wind. It was heavier, slower, a predator's steps. One student whispered, "What is that?" The elder's eyes glowed in the firelight. He said only one word, "Survival." The jungle fell silent, as if waiting for something to happen. The students felt the weight of the planet pressing on them, every shadow hiding a new danger. And in that silence, the truth became clear. Earth was not just another world, it was a death world. And humans were the masters of it. The morning sun rose above the jungle, spilling golden light across the trees. Mist curled over the ground, and strange cries echoed through the forest. The alien students stepped carefully from their shelter, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. For them, every sound felt like a warning. Every shadow seemed alive. One student whispered, "This planet does not sleep. Even in the night, it was watching us." The elder teacher nodded slowly. "Yes, here, danger is never far away. But today, you will take your first true steps on Earth. Watch carefully, listen, and learn." The humans who had sheltered them the night before were already awake. They moved with confidence, their boots sinking into the wet soil, their tools shining in the light. To the humans, this jungle was familiar, almost like home. To the aliens, it was madness. A young alien student clutched his arms tightly. "Why?" "Are they not afraid? The storm, the insects? All of it could kill." One of the humans overheard and smiled. "You get used to it. Earth teaches you to adapt. If you don't adapt, you die." The words sent a chill through the students. For them, survival was something guaranteed by technology. For humans, it was something earned every single day. The group began to walk deeper into the jungle. The air grew thick and heavy, filled with the buzzing of insects and the calls of unseen creatures. The students tried to stay close together, but curiosity pulled their eyes everywhere. Strange plants towered above them, with leaves larger than their bodies. The ground squelched with every step. Then, without warning, something moved. The bushes shook violently. The students froze. A loud hiss broke the air, followed by the snap of branches. "Stay still," the elder ordered in a low voice. From the shadows slithered a long creature, its body covered in dark scales, its tongue flicking in and out, its eyes glowed yellow as it moved silently toward them. The alien students gasped in terror. "It's huge," one whispered. "It could swallow us whole." The humans, however, barely flinched. One of them raised a long stick, stepping between the students and the serpent. Just a snake. Dangerous, yes, but manageable. The alien students could not believe what they were hearing. A creature that could kill in seconds was described as manageable. The snake coiled, preparing to strike. The students screamed, but the human moved quickly, striking the ground with the stick and making a loud noise. The snake hissed then, slid back into the darkness of the jungle, vanishing like a ghost. The students stood frozen, their hearts pounding. One finally said, "That thing could have killed you. Why didn't you run?" The human shrugged. "If you run, it chases. If you stand firm, it thinks twice. That's how we survive here." The elder's voice was soft, almost reverent. "Do you see, students? On other worlds, creatures like that would rule the land. But here, humans rule." The group moved on, though the students could not stop looking over their shoulders. Every rustle of leaves, every crack of a branch made them jump. Earth felt alive, but not in a friendly way. It felt like a predator, waiting for its chance. Hours later, they reached a river. The water was dark and fast, carrying broken branches and foam on its surface. The students stared at it in horror. "We cannot cross this," one said. "The current will drag us away." But the humans were already stepping into the water, their legs strong against the flow. One called back, "Follow carefully. The river is dangerous, but it can be crossed." The students hesitated, clinging to each other. One slipped on the rocks, nearly falling, but a human hand grabbed him and pulled him upright. "Watch your step," the human said calmly, as if saving a life was nothing unusual. On the far bank, the students collapsed onto the ground, gasping for air. To them, the crossing was a near-death experience. To the humans, it was just another part of the day. One student muttered, "How can they live like this? How can they survive a world that tries to kill them at every turn?" The elder answered quietly, "Perhaps the better question is not how. They survive, but why they do not fear it." As the sun began to set, the group reached a small human village at the edge of the jungle. The students expected high walls, weapons, defenses. Instead, the homes were simple wood, stone, and fire. Children played outside. Women carried food. Men returned from hunting. The students could not understand it. How can they live so peacefully when danger is everywhere? One of the humans overheard and laughed, "Because danger is always everywhere. If you wait for safety, you will wait forever, so you live. That is the only choice." That night, the students sat with the humans around a fire. Sparks rose into the night sky, and the sound of drums echoed softly. The humans sang songs, their voices strong, their faces glowing in the firelight. One alien whispered, "They do not just survive, they celebrate. Even in the face of death, they sing." The elder's eyes narrowed, filled with something between awe and fear. Yes, and that is what makes them truly dangerous. A creature that survives is strong. But a creature that laughs while facing death, that is something far more powerful. The jungle growled in the distance, but the humans kept singing, their voices rising above the sound of predators. The students listened, their hearts racing with a strange new feeling. Fear, yes, but also respect. For the first time, they understood the truth. Earth was not just a dangerous planet. It was a test, a battlefield, a constant struggle. And humans were not simply survivors. They were masters of that struggle. As the fire burned low, the elder looked at his students and spoke in a heavy voice. "Remember what you have seen. Today, you took your first steps on Earth, and with each step, you came closer to the truth. This world is not forgiving. It does not care if you live or die. And yet, here they stand. Here they thrive. Ask yourselves this: if Earth itself could not kill them, what could?" The night deepened, and the stars shone above. But to the students, the brightest light was not in the sky, it was in the humans, glowing in firelight, unbroken by fear. And in that moment, the alien students understood. They were not studying humans. They were standing in the presence of something far more terrifying and far more extraordinary. The next day began with a strange stillness. The jungle lay quiet, too quiet. No birds, no insects, no sounds at all. The alien students stepped outside the human village, their eyes scanning the trees nervously. One whispered, "Why is it so silent?" The forest was never this quiet yesterday. The elder frowned, his scales tightening. Silence on a living world is not peace. It is a warning. The humans seemed tense as well. One of them looked to the sky, sniffed the air, and muttered, "A storm is coming." The students glanced upward. The sky looked calm, the sun shining through scattered clouds. They could not understand. "There is no storm," one argued. The human gave a small, grim smile. "Wait." Hours passed. The silence grew heavier, pressing on their ears. Then the sky darkened with unnatural speed. Black clouds gathered like a wall of smoke. The air turned thick, humid, and heavy. A single flash of lightning tore across the heavens, followed by a crack so loud the ground itself trembled. The students gasped in terror. "What is happening? The sky is breaking apart." The humans moved quickly, tying down roofs, gathering supplies, preparing fires. Children were rushed indoors, animals tied safely. It was like watching soldiers prepare for battle. Then the storm struck. Rain poured from the sky in solid sheets, blinding their vision. The jungle shook with the force of the wind. Trees bent and snapped like toys. Lightning split the ground so close the students could feel the heat burn their skin. The aliens screamed, stumbling back toward the shelter. One clutched the elder's arm, crying, "This is not weather, this is a weapon." But the humans worked, calmly, shouting orders to each other. One man chopped through fallen branches, clearing paths. Another woman kept the fire alive inside, even as water poured through the cracks. The students huddled in fear. On their home planets, one strike of lightning could end an entire colony. Here, lightning fell again and again, and the humans endured. Suddenly, a scream tore through the storm. A young human boy had been caught outside, trapped under a fallen branch. The students watched in horror as water rose around him, rushing like a small river. "He will drown," a student cried. Before anyone could move, a human man sprinted into the storm. The wind howled, the rain tried to drag him away, but he did not stop. With a roar, he lifted the heavy branch, dragged the boy free, and carried him back to safety. His body was bruised and bleeding, but his face carried only determination. The students were stunned. On their worlds, no one would risk so much. No one would face death for another. Why would he do that? One alien whispered. The elder answered, his voice low and grim. "Because they are human. And to them, survival is not just for themselves, it is for all." The storm raged for hours. By the time it passed, the land looked destroyed. Trees lay broken. The river had grown wider, swallowing the forest floor. Smoke rose from places struck by lightning. The students stepped out, trembling. How can they rebuild from this? How can anyone survive such destruction? And yet the humans were already working. They cut wood, built new shelters, cleared the land. Children carried stones, women gathered food, men repaired walls. Everyone had a role. No one gave up. One alien fell to his knees, overwhelmed. It is impossible. The planet itself fights them, and still they live. The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. "You begin to see the truth." That night, as the village repaired itself, the students could not sleep. They stared into the dark forest, where shadows danced in the firelight. Then came another test. Far in the distance, an orange glow spread through the trees. The smell of smoke filled the air. "Fire," one human said calmly. "The jungle burns." The students panicked. Fire was the most feared force in their civilizations. Once it began, it consumed everything. The humans, however, did not run. They formed lines, carrying buckets of water, wetting the edges of the village. Some cut down trees before the flames could spread. Others dug trenches. The fire roared closer. Sparks flying like stars, heat pushing against their faces. The students trembled, certain the village would be destroyed, but the humans fought back. They moved with speed, with knowledge passed down through generations. They turned the fire aside, starving it of fuel, pushing it back until the flames retreated into the forest. When it was over, smoke curled into the sky. The land was black and broken. The students stood shaking, but the humans wiped sweat from their brows and nodded to each other. One alien whispered, "They do not just survive nature, they fight it. They win." The elder's voice was quiet, heavy with awe. "On our worlds, storms drive us underground. Fire ends our colonies. Floods wash away our lives. But here, humans do not bow. They do not kneel. They rise again and again." The students looked at the humans with new eyes. These creatures were not fragile, not weak. They were forged in fire and storm, hardened by a world that wanted them dead. Later, sitting by the fire, one human spoke to the students. His voice was calm but strong. "Earth tests us every day. The storms, the floods, the fires. It never stops. But we do not stop either. You see, this planet is alive and it wants to break us. But it has not. It cannot." The students were silent, their minds racing. They had seen insects with deadly venom, predators with fangs and claws, storms that tore the sky apart, fire that devoured forests. And through it all, humans endured. Finally, one student whispered, "This world is a killer." The elder nodded. "Yes, but the greatest danger is not the world itself. It is what the world has created." He looked toward the humans, their faces glowing in the firelight, their hands still working, their laughter rising even after a day of storms and flames. The elder's final words lingered in the students, minds like a shadow. Earth did not kill them. It made them stronger. And that, my students, is the most terrifying truth of all. The jungle was silent again, but this silence was different. Not peace, not warning, it was respect. As if even the planet itself had acknowledged the humans. Sitting by the fire dot, and for the first time, the alien students felt not just fear of Earth, but fear of the humans who called it home. The jungle was still wet from the storm when the humans led the alien students deeper into the forest. Mist clung to the ground, and every shadow seemed alive. The students walked carefully, their eyes darting to every sound. "Why do we go deeper?" One alien asked, his voice trembling. The elder gave a small nod to the humans. "They wish to show you something important. You have seen how the planet itself attacks them. Now you will see the creatures it breeds." The words sent a shiver through the group. The humans moved with quiet confidence, their boots silent on the wet soil. They carried only simple weapons, sticks, knives, and bows made of wood. To the aliens, such tools looked laughable against the dangers of the jungle. But the humans seemed unafraid. A sharp cry echoed through the trees. Low, guttural, like the roar of something hunting. The students froze. What was that? One whispered. The human at the front turned his head slightly. "A cat, a big one." The students gasped. The sound had not been small, it had been powerful. Dangerous. The humans crouched low, moving silently into the trees. The students followed reluctantly, their hearts pounding through the thick leaves. They saw it. A great beast crouched near the river, its golden fur striped with black. Its eyes glowed amber, fixed on the water where smaller animals drank. Muscles rippled under its skin as it moved silently closer to its prey. The students could not breathe. The beast was larger than any predator from their worlds, its fangs long, its claws sharp enough to rip flesh apart. One alien whispered, "It is a monster. Nothing can fight that." The elder's eyes narrowed. And yet the humans lived beside it. As if to prove his words, one human raised his bow, aimed carefully, and let the arrow fly. The beast roared in fury, leaping back into the trees before vanishing like a shadow. The humans lowered their weapons calmly, as if they had faced nothing. Unusual. The students trembled. How can they hunt such a thing? It is death itself. A human gave a small grin. We do not always hunt them. Sometimes we let them hunt us. Sport, challenge, test, it makes us strong. The aliens stared in disbelief. Hunt? For sport? On their worlds, such a creature would rule unchecked, feared by all. Here, humans challenged it for pleasure. The group moved again, deeper into the jungle. Soon the trees gave way to a wide clearing. In the distance, they saw another predator, this one larger, with long jaws filled with sharp teeth. It slid into the river, moving like a living shadow. The students gasped. "What is that thing?" "Crocodile," a human said calmly. "Old as time, a killer of the rivers." The creature lunged, dragging a smaller animal into the water with terrifying speed. The river churned red. The students recoiled in horror. One nearly fainted. How can they live in the same world as that? The human only shrugged. "We do not fear it, we learn its ways. We respect it, and when we must, we kill it." The elder spoke softly, his voice filled with awe. "On our worlds, a creature like this would be God. But here, it is only another challenge." The students were silent, their fear growing with every step. By nightfall, the humans led them to the edge of the jungle, where the land opened into grasslands. The moon rose above, casting pale light across the field. Shapes moved in the distance tall. Silent, with glowing eyes, the students squinted. "What are those?" The answer came in the form of a howl. Long, sharp, echoing across the night. The students froze in terror. "Wolves," the human leader said. "Hunters of the night." The shapes drew closer, moving as one. Dozens of them. Lean and fast, teeth flashing in the moonlight. The students huddled together, certain they were about to be torn apart. But the humans only raised their torches and shouted into the night. The wolves slowed, their glowing eyes watching carefully. For a long, tense moment, predator and prey stared at each other. Then, slowly, the wolves turned and vanished back into the grass. The students collapsed in relief. They were going to kill us. The human shook his head. "Not if you show strength. Animals sense fear. If you bow, they attack. If you stand tall, they think twice." The elder looked at his students. "Understand this. Predators live in every corner of this world. Snakes, cats, wolves, sharks in the seas, spiders in the dark. Each one strong enough to kill. And yet, the humans walk among them not as prey, but as rivals." The students shuddered, their minds overwhelmed. Later, back at the village, they sat by the fire, too shaken to eat. One finally spoke. "I do not understand. Why does this planet create such monsters? Why does it give them so much power?" The elder's eyes glowed in the firelight. "Perhaps you should not ask why Earth makes such monsters. Perhaps you should ask what kind of monster it has made in return." The students turned to look at the humans. Some laughed as they sharpened their weapons. Others told stories of hunts and dangers faced. Children played with small dogs by the fire, descendants of wolves once feared, now tamed. The realization struck deep. Humans did not just survive predators, they learned to control them. They bent them, tamed them, turned them into allies. Elder whispered the truth none of them wanted to speak aloud. On any other world, the predator rules. But here, the predator bows to the human, and that is why Earth is feared. The fire crackled. The night was filled with distant howls, the sound of predators calling to each other across the land. But in the circle of firelight, it was clear who the true predator was. It was not the snake, not the cat, not the wolf. It was the humans, smiling in the shadows, unbroken, unafraid. The days passed, and the alien students thought they had already seen the worst of Earth. They had seen storms that tore apart the sky, fires that devoured forests, and predators with teeth sharp enough to cut steel. They believed nothing could surprise them anymore. But the humans had saved the most shocking lesson for last. The elder teacher gathered his students near the edge of the village. "You have seen the planet," he said. "Now you will see the creatures it has shaped. You will see the true design of the human body." The students exchanged uneasy glances. Their bodies were fragile compared to the humans, thin bones, weak muscles, skin that bruised too easily. What could possibly make the human body so special? The answer came quickly. That morning, a group of humans prepared for a hunt. They carried simple weapons and moved into the forest with long, steady strides. The alien students followed, careful not to step too loudly. Hours passed, yet the humans showed no sign of stopping. One alien whispered, "How long will they walk? Do they never tire?" The elder's face was unreadable. "Watch them. You will understand soon." By midday, the students were panting, their bodies heavy with exhaustion. But the humans? They were still moving, still tracking, their breathing calm and controlled. Sweat dripped down their skin, but their legs carried them forward without pause. The students collapsed beneath a tree, gasping. "This is impossible. We cannot move another step." A human offered them water with a small smile. "Rest if you must. We will keep going." The students watched in disbelief as the hunters continued their chase, following tracks of an animal across the land. They ran not fast, but steady, endless, tireless, like rivers flowing to the sea. Hours later, the hunters returned, carrying their prize. The animal had fallen not to claws, not to teeth, but to exhaustion. The humans had simply run it down until it could run no more. The students stared in shock. They did not fight it with strength, they fought it with time. The elder's voice was quiet. "Yes, other creatures are faster. Other creatures are stronger, but none can endure as the human does. They are built not for speed, but for survival." That evening, the students saw another example. A human man returned to the village with a deep wound on his arm, blood flowing freely. The students recoiled in horror. "He is dying." One cried, but the man only laughed, pressing a cloth to the wound. "It is nothing. It will heal." The aliens could not believe it. "How can he be so calm? The blood he will lose too much." The elder placed a hand on the student's shoulder. "Watch closely." The wound was cleaned, wrapped, and by the next day the man was already using his arm again. Pain did not stop him. By the end of the week, the skin had begun to close. The body had healed itself. The students were stunned. On their worlds, injuries like that meant months of rest, sometimes death. Here, it was just another part of life. "This is not natural," one alien whispered. "Their bodies, they refused to break." But the most terrifying lesson came at night. The humans gathered for a ritual of strength. They lit fires and challenged each other to feats that made the students tremble. One man lifted heavy stones until his muscles shook. Another ran into the cold river and stayed in the freezing water until his skin turned pale. A woman climbed a tree taller than any tower, laughing as the branches snapped beneath her feet. The students could not look away. They test themselves, on purpose. Why would they suffer when they do not need to? A human overheard and smiled. "Because pain teaches. Pain makes us stronger." The words chilled the students to their core. Pain was something they avoided, something that destroyed them. But humans embraced it, even welcomed it. Later, as the fire burned low, the elder gathered his students. His eyes glowed in the firelight, his voice heavy with awe. "You have seen storms, fire, predators. All of these are terrifying, but now you see the truth. The greatest weapon of humanity is not storm, not fire, not teeth. It is their own flesh. Their bodies are built to survive what should not be survived." The students whispered to each other, shaken. "They bleed, but do not die. They break, but heal again. They run until their prey falls. They suffer, but they grow stronger." The elder nodded. Yes, on any other world, life ends when the body breaks. But on Earth, the body refuses to surrender. One student shivered, his voice small. If their world tried so hard to kill them, and their bodies adapted to endure it, then what will happen when they face the galaxy? The fire crackled, throwing sparks into the night. Around them, the humans laughed and told stories, scars gleaming proudly on their skin. Every cut, every bruise, every broken bone was not weakness. It was proof of survival. And in that moment, the alien students finally understood. The human body was not fragile. It was an engine built not for comfort, not for safety, but for one single purpose: endurance. The elder's voice cut through the silence one last time. Remember this lesson well. Earth has shaped its children into something terrifying. Their bodies do not fear pain. They do not fear time. And that, my students, is why humans endure when others fall. The jungle sang in the distance, predators calling into the dark. But the students no longer feared the predators, because they had seen the truth. The most dangerous creature on Earth was not the snake, not the lion, not the storm. It was the human body itself, built to survive the impossible. The night was quiet, but the alien students could not sleep. The memory of human strength still haunted them, bodies that healed when broken, endurance that seemed endless, pain turned into power. But the elder teacher had warned them. You think you have seen the truth of humans, he said. You have seen only their flesh. Tomorrow you will see their mind. The words lingered like a shadow. What could be more dangerous than bodies that refuse to die? Morning came, and the humans gathered once again. This time, they carried no weapons, no heavy loads, no trophies of the hunt. Instead, they gathered around a fire and began to speak. The alien students leaned in, curious. The elder motioned to the humans. Watch, listen. Do not be deceived by their simple words. The danger lies not in what they do, but in how they think. A human man began to tell a story. His voice was calm at first, but his eyes burned with fire. He spoke of a war long ago, of enemies stronger and greater in number. The aliens expected despair, but instead, the man's lips curled into a smile. We were surrounded, he said. Outnumbered, outmatched. They thought fear would break us. But fear only sharpened. We used the night, the shadows, the silence. They had more weapons, but we had more will. The students shivered. They had studied war before. On most worlds, fear was poison. It caused retreat, surrender, collapse. But the humans seemed to drink fear like water, shaping it into something sharp. One alien whispered. He speaks of terror, but he smiles. Why? The elder's eyes narrowed. Because in their minds, fear is not weakness. Fear is fuel. Later that day, the students were taken to the edge of a cliff. The humans stood without hesitation, looking down at the endless drop. One by one, they leaped not in madness, but in perfect control, catching ropes tied to the rock, swinging and climbing as if the abyss was nothing. The students gasped. They choose to face death? Why risk their lives for nothing? A woman laughed as she dangled from the cliff. Because the mind must be tested, just as the body. If you do not face fear, fear will rule you. The aliens trembled. On their worlds, no one tested fear. Fear was avoided, hidden, silenced. But humans chased it, stared into it, even smiled. At it, that night, the elder gathered his students again. His voice was heavy, like stone. You have seen their body hard to break, but their mind is worse. The human mind bends but does not shatter. It finds light in darkness. It makes weapons out of fear. And when death stands before them, many will laugh. The students could not believe it. Yet the proof came the next morning. The humans invited the aliens to join a game. At first, it seemed harmless. Two groups faced each other, each trying to outsmart the other with tricks and traps. But as the game grew, the aliens realized something frightening. The humans did not always choose the safe path. Sometimes they walked into danger on purpose, grinning as if they already knew the outcome. Sometimes they pretended to be weak, only to strike with perfect timing. They plan. One alien whispered, his voice shaking, not with strength, not with numbers, but with something else. Something I cannot follow. Another answered, they enjoy it. This is not war, it is a game to them. And then the humans proved it. When one side was close to losing, their leader spoke calmly, giving orders so clear and sharp that the entire group shifted like a single creature. Looked like defeat turned into sudden victory. The aliens sat frozen. On their planets, defeat ended battles. But here, even in the face of certain loss, the humans had turned the tide because their minds refused to accept failure. The elder's voice cut through the silence. Do you understand now? Their strength is not only in the body. Their true weapon is here. He tapped his head slowly. The human mind. The students were still unsettled when the final test came. The humans led them deep into the forest. The trees grew tall, blocking the light. Strange noises echoed through the dark. The air was heavy with danger. The students whispered nervously, something lives here, something hunts us. The humans only smiled. Good, then we are not alone. Suddenly, a predator appeared, eyes glowing, teeth sharp. The students froze, terror gripping their hearts. But the humans did not run. One of them stepped forward, standing tall, staring straight into the beast's eyes. The predator growled, ready to strike. And then, something happened the students could not understand. The human growled back. Not with words, but with fire in his eyes, with a stance that said, I will not run. You will run first. The predator hesitated. Its body tensed, confused. It was used to prey, fleeing, begging, breaking. But this prey stared at it as if it were nothing. With a snarl, the creature backed away into the shadows, leaving the humans untouched. The students stood speechless. It feared them, one whispered. How? How can a beast fear what should be prey? The elder's answer was quiet, but sharp. Because the human mind knows no master, not beast, not darkness, not even death. The students shivered. They had thought the human body was terrifying, healing, enduring, unyielding. But this was worse. The human mind turned fear into courage, defeat into victory, prey into predator. As the fire burned that night, the humans laughed and shared stories again. They spoke of battles lost and battles won, of facing death and choosing to fight anyway. Their scars were not just on their skin, they were in their memories, written into their minds, and the aliens finally understood. The body made humans hard to kill, but the mind made them impossible to break. The elder's voice carried one last warning. Remember this lesson well. A body can be destroyed, but a mind like this, a mind that laughs at fear, that refuses defeat, that creates hope from ashes. Such a mind is a weapon the galaxy has never seen. The students could not sleep that night, for in their hearts they knew the truth. The most dangerous creature on Earth was not the lion, not the storm, not even the body itself. It was the human mind, fearless, unbroken, unstoppable. The sun rose blood red over the horizon, painting the jungle in a strange, heavy light. The alien students felt a mix of fear and curiosity as they followed the humans to the clearing. The elders had promised the final trial, the test that would show the full power of Earth's children. The clearing was vast. Trees ringed the area, shadows moving with the wind. Humans were already there, preparing for something, but the students could not tell what. Their weapons were simple sticks, ropes, knives, but the confidence on their faces was overwhelming. One alien whispered, trembling, "What is this? Another hunt? Another storm?" The elder shook his head. "No, this is the ultimate test. You will see why humans survive where others perish." The humans called the aliens forward. "You will face the trial too, said a man calmly. "You must keep up, you must endure, and you must learn." The students exchanged worried glances. They had seen storms, predators, and even the strength of human bodies, but this was different. This was direct, personal. The humans led them into the forest. The trees grew taller, darker, the underbrush thick and tangled. Strange sounds echoed everywhere, snaps, rustles, growls, but the humans did not falter. They moved with purpose, showing the aliens how to navigate the dangerous terrain. Hours passed. The aliens were exhausted. Their legs burned, their minds raced. Every step brought a new challenge, a hidden pit, a sudden flood of water, a fallen tree blocking their path. And through it all, the humans simply moved forward, never slowing, never complaining. One alien stumbled. "I cannot go on. This is impossible." A human stopped and placed a hand on their shoulder. "You can. Just keep going. One step at a time. Fear is natural, but you must walk through it." The students realized the trial was not just physical. It was mental. The humans were forcing them to confront exhaustion, doubt, and fear all at once. Suddenly, the ground shook. A loud roar echoed through the forest. The aliens froze. A massive predator emerged, larger than any they had seen before. Its eyes glowed. With hunger, its claws dug into the soil. "Run!" One student cried. The humans did not. They spread out, surrounding the creature, shouting, waving their arms, making it hesitate. The predator lunged, but instead of chaos, the humans moved like a single organism. One dodged, one grabbed a rope, one climbed a tree to distract it. The predator was confused, frustrated. One alien gasped, "They are fighting it with what? Numbers? Tools? Strategy?" The elder's voice was low, almost reverent. "It is neither. It is the human mind, working with the human body. Every movement, every decision they calculate, adapt, survive. Nothing on Earth can match this combination." The predator roared one last time and fled into the shadows, leaving the humans victorious. The students shivered, realizing they had just witnessed a force of nature itself being tamed, not through strength alone, but through will, strategy, and endurance. As night fell, the humans led the students to a high ridge overlooking the jungle. Fires glowed in the villages below. The humans sat calmly, sharing stories, tending wounds, laughing quietly despite the day's dangers. One alien finally spoke, voice small and shaken. "I understand now. Their bodies. Their minds, they survive everything." A human smiled. "We endure because we have to. The planet tests us every day. The storms, the predators, the hunger, the pain, it all makes us stronger. But the final test is always in the mind. If you cannot conquer fear, you will never survive." The students nodded, awed and frightened. They had thought Earth was a death world, that the storms and predators were the ultimate challenge. But they had been wrong. The greatest challenge was humans themselves. The elder turned to them, voice heavy with meaning. "Remember what you have seen. A body can be strong, a mind can be sharp, but together they are unstoppable. On Earth, every human is forged in fire and storm, hunted and healed, challenged and unbroken. That is why they endure." The students watched as the humans rose, moving through the dark forest with the same calm confidence they had shown all day. Every shadow seemed alive, yet the humans walked through it without fear. One student whispered, "We have studied death, pain, fear, but none of it compares to what they have endured. We have been tested and found weak." The elder nodded slowly. "Yes, and that is why Earth is feared across the galaxy. Not because it is dangerous, but because it shapes humans into something the universe cannot destroy." A final challenge came as the humans invited the aliens to race to the other side of the ridge. The students hesitated. They had tried to keep up all day and failed. But the humans simply smiled. "Do not run to win. a man said. Run to see if you can endure. If you survive yourself, you survive the world. The students began to run, hearts pounding, muscles screaming. The humans moved beside them, calm, steady, their eyes alive with encouragement. Every step was a lesson: how to fight exhaustion, how to face fear, how to endure pain. By the time they reached the ridge, the students were panting, trembling, almost broken. But they had survived. And in that survival, they glimpsed the terrifying truth. Humans were not only adapted to Earth, they were its ultimate product. Fire and storm had shaped their bodies. Predators had sharpened their instincts. Fear had honed their minds. And together, body and mind had become something the galaxy could not destroy. The elder's voice was quiet, but it carried like thunder. Do you understand now? You have faced the trial, and you have learned the final lesson. Never underestimate humans. They endure, they adapt, they survive. And they do so because the world made them this way. The students looked at the humans around the fire, their bodies scarred, their faces smiling, their eyes shining with life and confidence. And for the first time, the alien students felt true fear, not of storms, predators, or the planet itself, but of the creatures who called this Deathworld home. The final trial was over. The aliens had survived, but they knew they were changed forever. They had learned the terrifying truth of Earth. The most dangerous force on this planet was not the storms, not the fire, not the predators. It was the humans, unyielding, unbroken, unstoppable. And in that moment, the jungle fell silent, as if acknowledging the ultimate apex of life that walked within it.